Alright, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host, Josh, and this is part 12 of our B-Sides Let's Play of the Letter. When we last left off with our poor Rebecca, she had come back to the hospital this night only to find that Ashton was surprisingly there while Zach was sleeping, and we basically overheard Ashton basically confessing his love for Isabella, and sort of Rebecca realizing that she never had a chance to start with, it seems like. And so we've just sort of gotten out of that situation, and I make it out of the hospital in a flurry of steps, my mind abuzz with thoughts and emotions in turmoil. Ignoring the courteous smiles every staff member shoots my way or the voice shouting after me. My footfalls hit hard against the pavement, each stride a stark refusal, each distance I put a continued denial. More than once, a passing stranger would give me looks. Is it pity, consternation, scorn, or dismay?
It doesn't matter now, does it?
All I hear are the voices inside my head, jeering, mocking, while the rest of the world blurs around me. I'm the one who has always been by his side. I'm the one who knew more about him than anyone. Why couldn't it have been me? But the universe doesn't have an answer for that, and neither does anyone. So I run, until everything fades away from my mind, until my breathing goes labored, until my legs buckle, feet catching on loose stone, and the world tilting sideways at long last. A yelp comes from my mouth, but the pain I'm expecting, hoping for, doesn't. When awareness returns to me, in a rush of sounds and colors, it isn't his hand that grips my arm, nor the sharp gleam usually in his eyes that I see. Far, a striking contrast. This one's softer, kinder. Though worry slightly mars his voice, there's nothing in it but genuine concern. Zachary's. Aw, Zach. It's always a wonder how they even became friends.
Easy there, ma'am.
He doesn't waste any time, not even to wait for some form of gratitude from me, and quickly pulls me to my feet. However, it isn't until he draws a handkerchief from his pocket and gingerly hands it to me that I glance up at him, searching for an explanation.
For your, face.
He makes a vague gesture on, the wetness, the stuff going on in your facial region. His movements small and a bit awkward before letting his arm fall and hang at his side, suddenly too afraid to point it out. He does not retract his hand, offering the handkerchief, though, merely giving me a sheepish shrug and another smile when I finally lift a hand up my cheek and it comes away wet. Oh. I cast him another look, wary, unsure, but all he has for me is the same accepting smile. There's a question behind it, but for the moment, he holds off. Can we just tell Zachary what's going on? Like, that would probably be helpful, honestly. So with another indrawn breath, I take the offered cloth, if only to keep my hands occupied while I put myself together.
Thanks.
No problem. Take your time if you want. And, I'll just be here. Pretending I didn't see anything and,
Like, who would not want Zach as a friend? Come on. Like, Zach and Isabella are the only genuinely good people in this whole cast.
Yeah, take your time.
Zachary is polite enough to avert his gaze, and only when the last one of the tears have been wiped away does he say anything.
You okay? The floor almost had you there.
Yeah, thanks again. Sorry about that.
The words ring hollow even to my ears. I'm not certain either if they're meant to be an apology for all his troubles or for showing him this pathetic side of me. Nevertheless, he accepts them.
Nah, it is cool. Surprised me, though. Didn't think you could run that fast. But you don't look really well right now. Something happened?
Please tell him the truth.
No, nothing. Nothing important.
Come on, Rebecca.
I was just a little shaken, I think, from all that running.
Rebecca, come
I'll
on.
be fine, Zachary.
Well, don't push yourself too hard, alright? I'm sure Bella will understand if you ever decide to take a break. Hell, she wouldn't want us fussing over like this. If you aren't feeling up to it, just say so. Let Ashton and I take over now. It ain't a big deal.
Oh, I'm sure Ashton would love that.
Come on, regret follows the second the heated words leave my mouth, and the light mood inevitably shatters. As black as my mood might have been, Zachary doesn't deserve to receive the brunt of it. No one does. Even Ashton. Yet all I see in my head right now is the image of him seating inside that room, spilling his heart out unlike he ever did for me, wearing such sincerity I've never seen in him before. The concerned expression returns to Zachary's face, and with it are the hundreds of questions he's been avoiding to ask. Under his honest scrutiny, I balk. I look away before he can see past this and catch a glimpse of an ugly side of me. He is your friend, Rebecca, come on! But considering how well I've handled this so far, I won't be shocked if he already thinks less of me.
Rebecca, is everything really alright?
Come on, Becca. I bet he already knows the answer to that. Regardless of appearances, Zach can be quite as perceptive as Ashton. It's part of the reason why they became friends in the first place. Frankly, I don't understand why he's still making an effort to ask. For the sake of being polite? Responding to that will only open a whole different can of worms. He should also know that. He cares. He's your friend. What a mess. The best thing I can do now is simply end this. Well, these are both terrible options. Jesus. I mean, I'm not going to say, what do you even know? What do you even know? Is that, like, he literally came after us in concern and care. I didn't... Yeah, I guess I'll say that, because, yeah, this is just taking the anchor out on him. I would rather just tell him the truth, but didn't mean that. Yeah. Regardless of his good intentions, Zachary doesn't deserve to be caught in the same kind of chaos my mind is in right now.
I'm sorry, Zachary. I didn't mean that.
Smile and bottle it up, but see, I don't want her to do this either. Hide it where other people can't judge, even if it leaves me wanting for a more explosive outburst. At least this way, there's no guilt apart from the one I have to suffer myself.
I know you don't. You're actually scarier than that when you mean it.
Am I? Really?
Only a bit. A wee bit. Don't take that personally, please. I mean, you're a really nice person, but you also have to deal with Ash and Bella sometimes. That takes a lot of patience, especially Ash. And you're a teacher, so I guess...
Zachary?
Yes, ma'am?
You don't have to say anything to make me feel better about myself. I'm tougher than that.
Oh, well, I was just...
Besides, I've already heard most of those from Isabella. I'm used to it. Trust me.
Zachary's eyebrows are drawn together when I glance back at him, his mouth opening and closing in a weak attempt to answer my reassurances. This probably isn't where he wants to take this little talk, but the turn it took left him no other choice. Much like how found himself thrust in this position. Much like how he found himself thrust in this position. Out of all people, he now has to be the one standing in the middle to fix things, even when no such obligations have been handed to him. Bloody, he didn't need to follow me, but that's just how he is. This is an unintentional mistake on my part too, yes, though I still can't help but feel responsible. The best apology I can give him right now is a light pat to his arm. A bit half-hearted coming from me, but I do it still. It's not like I have any other thing left I can offer.
Look, Zachary. All of this. It's probably just the stress talking. Don't worry about me. We've all been on the edge since the news broke. I haven't even gotten a decent sleep since it started, and it still doesn't seem like things will be slowing down anytime soon. Maybe it's a good thing Ashton volunteered when he did. At least now we have a few hours to rest, yes?
Sleep is good.
Take your own advice and go get a break yourself, okay?
I throw in another smile at him, for good measure, but it falters the second my eyes meet his. It's that look again. The one too honest. If I hold it for a moment longer, I'll probably end up saying things I shouldn't, more than what I'm willing to disclose at the moment. Because despite wanting to get these feelings across, they are also ones I've harbored longer than any. I can understand that. If Ashton won't hear them, won't have them, then neither has the world any right to do so. I'm more than happy to cling to these if it'll keep the misery at bay. I've already done so before. It won't change a damn thing. So without bothering with a goodbye, I walk away. Zachary doesn't stop me, doesn't reach out a hand or call out my name. This is as far as he'll allow himself to cross. For all his concerns, between the two of us, he's more familiar with this line we keep between us than I am. He won't intrude far from what those boundaries will allow. But when his voice rings out again, above the din of traffic around us, in a last attempt to reach me, it does exactly what he's been reluctant to do.
Hey, Rebecca! About Ashton.
I stop and turn to look at him, nevertheless. Even with half a mind to bolt, caught between that small urge to hide until this simply blows over in my own curiosity.
Frankly, I don't really understand what happened back there. I ain't gonna pretend I get the gist of it. I ain't sure if this'll help either, but look, he might be the smartest guy I know, but there are times when things go straight over his head. Way over his head.
No malice, no ill will in it. Their words not meant to hurt, just another truth. Because apparently we've got heaps of those to throw around today.
So, I think you should talk to him, at least.
I agree. You know what? Actually, because I mentioned last episode that this had made me not want to have Rebecca and Ashton get together because it just doesn't feel right or fair. But they should still. I have to because of some of the B-sides rule anyways, but I'm going to try to get them to be together a lot just so that we can have this conversation. Even if I don't want it to mean they end up actually getting together.
You don't have to do it, of course. That's just my 2 cents. Ashton can be a bit dense. Sometimes things really work better if you just say it to him.
Zachary ends it with a shrug, as casual and nonchalant as he can manage. The nervous lines of his shoulders tell a different story, however. He wants to say more, but this is all what those metaphorical boundaries we keep will allow, what I will allow for now. In the end, he simply settles for a smile of his own, reluctant, unwilling to leave things here, but with no expectations of it being returned. He's the one who departs 5 seconds later, leaving the ghost of what he said hanging over me. I do have a lot of sympathy for Rebecca here. And perhaps it's exactly the fear of being left with these thoughts that leads me to the cafe instead. Less time to think about these as long as I'm moving and in the company of other people. So if we finally... Does this mean we finally come back to, Yep. Okay. We're coming here under very different circumstances this time. That is interesting.
Irish stew. Just for one person.
Oh. Quickly raise an eyebrow at that, while I swiftly avert my eyes down to my hands, although I don't miss the consoling look he gives me. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it. Often it's always with Isabella. She can be a bad influence sometimes, but that's precisely why this guy has known us long enough that if I ever drop by here alone, he already has a number of ideas why. Doubtless he's already heard what happened in the news. No need to bring it up in something as casual as ordering food. There's a proper time and place for grief and empty sympathies. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order, while I fish for my wallet when...
Look, you little ankle biter.
Ankle biter. Alright, well this time we get to do what we always wanted to do. And hit him where it hurts.
Mister, you have until the count of 5 to let me go and step out of my personal space.
Give it to him, Rebecca. A fair warning. Fairer than any I can offer for people of his kind, and I'm already being considerate. Hell, this arsehole doesn't even deserve a warning. If he doesn't listen, well, he's as much responsible for what will happen next as anyone.
Or else what? Such vulgar words coming out of that pretty mouth.
God.
A gorgeous flower like you shouldn't even be saying.
It feels like so long since we've had a Luke interaction. You almost forget how much you hate him.
Don't say I didn't warn you, Bowbag.
Love that intensity, Daisy.
Yeah, give it to him.
FYI, I like feisty in a woman. It gives them this certain charm. Why don't you?
5.
A second of silence. Then, without any preamble, my leg moves in one fluid motion and delivers a swift, powerful, well-placed kick to his nether regions. Needless to say, the effect is instantaneous. That's quite the scream. He yelps, abruptly drops his hold on me, and kneels over, howling from the pain. I can see tears forming at the corners of his eyes, too, though the mere sight of it prompts not an ounce of remorse from me. It would have been gentler if he isn't such a dirty little prick with an ego too big for his head. And honestly, you know, between this time and last time, it makes sense that in this context, our reaction to him would be a bit harsher. Too bad. Whether this obliterates any chance of him ever procreating remains to be known, but a part of me is already praying he doesn't ever breed after this. We have no need of more of him in this world. Here, here.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass.
Why, this is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all...
I think we've seen this. Okay, so moving on. Last time we apologized to Luke, correct? Yes. This time we're going to apologize to Kylie. She deserves it. Of course, an apology is the most appropriate thing to say. Yeah, let's get this Luke relationship down to the ground. But no matter how much I will myself to do it, my own body refuses to budge. My own mouth refuses to open, and my head rejects the very idea of looking at him. No apology for an arsehole. Not to someone with an ego too big for his head. Let his pride suffer. I'm not going to eat my words for the sake of stroking his damn ego. Less reason for him to gloat. Kylie, however, I owe an explanation.
Don't worry, Kylie. I'm not fighting with your Tio. This is just, a discussion. A very serious discussion between a very mature adult and one that's not.
Really? But I've never seen Tio angry before.
Then you've not seen much of him, my dear.
It's because he's losing the argument. But don't ever follow his example, Kylie. You should always learn to be patient, even if things aren't going your way, okay?
Oh sure, a discussion. And it involves hitting random strangers you meet at a cafe with a book. A hard-bound book. Mind you, the little me hasn't recovered yet.
What does that mean, Tio?
My future generation never survives from this. We are going to have more than words, woman!
I don't allow Kylie to hear his tirade and cover both of her ears with my hands. As fond as she is of the man, they are words he shouldn't be saying in front of a child. How can he not know about that? More importantly, how on earth did someone like him become a godfather? Who allowed it? Maybe I should talk to Miss Suarez about it, warn her how he's not a good influence for her children. Oh, I think they know.
Language! How can you use such crude words in front of her? Your goddaughter can hear you, for heaven's sake.
Oh, and you didn't. If I remember everything correctly, you called me a rotten beau.
So you're going to repeat it in front of her? Just to make a point? What, are you 5? Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
Even Isabella. I can say that with much certainty. Rebecca, how dare you? How dare you draw similarities, even make a comparison between this douche and Isabella?
Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
You see what I mean?
See what I mean?
Alright, Letter. Alright.
Are you fighting again?
Kylie, get out of here.
No. Like I said, we were just having a discussion. We're actually done now. But you need to promise Miss Pink you will never grow up like this guy. Good kids don't do what he's doing.
But I like Tio.
Well, you shouldn't.
And I'm quite sure Tio likes you too. But liking people is different. Just because you like him doesn't mean you have to be like him. There are better role models for you aside from him.
Like you?
Not exactly what I'm trying to get at. But if that's what you want, I don't see why not.
I mean, when perfection is staring you in the face, why not?
Okay, I want to be like Miss Pink someday. I want to be a teacher, and I promise I won't be like Tio, even if he's a gazillionaire.
Wow. Turning my own goddaughter against me. How mature of you, Miss Pink.
His tone makes me pause. For the first time since this talk started, I look at him. Briefly, something flashes behind his eyes. Something close to what might be an expectation falling? Dismay? I can't be sure. It passes almost as soon as it appears. What's that about? Does he actually like having Kylie around? Doesn't seem like it from the get-go, but if that fond smile on him is anything to judge by, then maybe.
Don't worry, Tio. If you buy me bread pudding tonight, I'll like you again.
Aw, if that's all it takes, consider it done, sweetheart.
What a perfect relationship.
We might have to find another place to buy it from, though. Somewhere safe, where a random crazy woman isn't going to attack us out of the blue. Let's go.
Okay, bye, Miss Pink. I still like you, just not more than Tio anymore. See you.
Kylie's already pulling him to the cafe's exit before I can protest on it. Although it's not like there's anything to object on further. I may view that man, Luke, as somewhat hateful, maybe to the point of seeing him as an eyesore, but I don't think that'll have any bearing on what the child thinks of him. When you think about it, if she admires him so much like that, maybe there's still something agreeable in him. A part of him only Kylie sees. He still has the gall to wink at me before they both disappear behind the door, so maybe not. Like, what? I guess, you know, he said he likes feisty women. I was gonna say, why would he continue to flirt with someone that has acted this way to him? Ugh, alright. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. Rude. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, feels like a reassurance, despite bearing no promise of better days. I think it was, yeah, okay. We never got around it before. Now we may lose that chance altogether. Another long day here. Yeah, get him. Get him, Rebecca. There's no Isabella to throw water in his face this time, so he's got to get it somewhere. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know? Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. I think we've seen this. This is Luke. Yep, and he has Takako there in the car. Ruh-roh. And we move on to Thursday. Or as nice as it can get while we're playing the long waiting game, teetering between sheer optimism and despair. Her aunt's arrival this morning has dampened the edge to that somewhat, though only by some. The uncertainty's still there, unspoken throughout the brief time we talked, simply hanging stiffly above our heads. Having another person with us helps, however, I can tell the same doubts have crossed her mind the second she saw her in that room. Ashton himself doesn't look too hopeful when he left a night ago. It was a wordless exchange, partly sullied by my lingering anger and his exhaustion, but has left a sullen atmosphere in the room nonetheless.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Yep, and so we've seen this. This is where we have Luke coming for the, parent day, or career day, rather. We get in a long conversation here. Last time I said you're good at handling her, right? Boop. Yep. And this time we're gonna say, you really think that?
You really think that?
It's an honest question. Yeah, that's right, Luke. Suck it. Because no matter how much I turn it around inside my head, the gap between the man standing in front of me and the idea I have of him just won't connect. Not that the gesture will go a long way with him. Something in his demeanor tells me he's definitely not the kind of man who readily accepts such when they are given to him. Rather, he feels entitled to it from the get-go, so long as you're standing in front of him. He expects it to be there, demands for it when he cannot see it in you. And after all those insults we've hurled at each other, I don't think it'll matter much to him if I point out the ugly truths or brandish it to his face. As expected, it doesn't throw him off in the least, and he merely raises a questioning brow at me.
About what?
About what you told Kylie. And don't you think she's a bit too young for that kind of talk?
Kylie's 6, Daisy, not an infant who still needs help changing her nappy. At her age, she can already handle more than that.
I mean, there's a big jump here between changing her nappy and the kind of conversation you might have been having.
Besides, it's better to nip this whole thing at the bud. You know, before she starts thinking that a man's ego defines her self-worth.
That's certainly true.
I certainly don't need someone else to define me. Why should any godchild of mine do? So, do I really think that? Yes. Yes, very much so. Why shouldn't I?
All right, I get it. I'm sorry. You just didn't seem the type to me.
I've intended to end the conversation right there and simply go my way. I no longer have any business here, and our deputy principal's stories sound more enticing the longer I stand here. With the manner Luke is almost ranting, I have a feeling this won't end if I say more. Though, thinking about it, I should have left the second he'd taken the box from me. Naturally, he doesn't get the hint.
The type. And what, pray tell, would my type be according to your standards, woman?
A jerk?
The sort I'd happily bury alive.
Well, would you look at what's coming out of those pretty little lips? Watch the language, Daisy. You're supposed to be teaching children. What would ever happen to this nation?
You know what I mean.
Oh, and you somehow find that tidbit funny.
A little, I admit. That sort of wisdom is the last thing I expected to come from you. I mean, look at yourself. Pampered and pompous to the last hair. You've probably never been to this side of Luxbourne until a few days ago.
Daisy, just because I'm dressed miles better than the average bloke you see every day, doesn't mean I'm incapable of thinking on your level.
Oh, go on.
Actually, I'm more surprised we aren't on the same page on this. I expected better from someone with enough balls to hit a random stranger with a bloody book. In public, mind you. Someone my goddaughter looks up to, even. Guess you can't have everything in this world.
What? Of course I'm...
Oh, I get it. Running on presupposed notions, aren't we? My, what a dangerous thing to practice for a teacher.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong here.
It doesn't have anything to do with...
What is it this time, I wonder? Oh, wait, don't say it, let me guess. What do those random gossips in this bloody city usually say? Oh, right. You probably think I'd go with clingy, spoiled kind, didn't you?
What? Where does that... how did you even come to that conclusion?
Oh, don't lie to me now, Daisy. But just so we're clear, if I wanted an arm decor, I'd have gone with the first brainless munter I picked up on the streets. I have standards, you know.
I haven't even said a word. I was just asking what you thought of it.
Oh, but you were thinking about it or else you wouldn't have asked. Might as well get it out of the way,
You are impossible.
So they say. Tell me something I didn't know, Daisy.
You... I really have no idea how anyone with half a brain can put up with you.
Yeah, most people don't.
Let me speak with your wife sometime. I'd love to ask her.
Oh, you'll meet her soon. That last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. Even for my own standards of the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I prepared myself to say dissipates, lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned, gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. Might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
I think we've seen this. Yep, here we go. Okay. So then Kylie comes up to us and she's all upset because she says one of her friends is crying and then she's like possessed and then just kidding and then we leave. Right, finish the school day up. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Career day. Okay. What is this? Oh, this is the day Zachary shows the photos to Ashton. Okay. Well, now let's continue just a tiny bit more. Days later, a friend ends up in a trauma center at the local hospital and fighting for her life. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. Definitely seen this. We call Marianne to ask if she has any info on the mansion. Run to these guys. Hey, Beck, I'll be around Samuel this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours in the Bella place after. Yep. Except she won't be there if that scenario ever comes to pass while she's stuck in that hospital. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pockets. Okay, so this has come after Zachary and Ashton had their little fight. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing what kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. Kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
You're gonna be waiting a long time, because on the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even even after what I heard and the fact that he detests attending gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. Great. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If, by some miracle, he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still, tough choice, but I have to pick one. I have other things to do. Though, when you look at it closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. Okay. First and foremost, no matter where I look, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be, and if there's one ugly thing about this city, it's this place's penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go, how many ears it'll reach. What if Ashton hears about it? God forbid the man who doesn't like you hears about it. I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately, although if he heard it was Luke Wright, he would be super pissed. Being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man, in whatever form it takes, sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown on my face, as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a pout.
You're not gonna join us, are you?
Maybe next time.
I'm sorry, Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. The little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
He instantly claws on my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull, or another place that I could dent.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
I'll get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment if I can. Though I must admit the two of them walking together, hand in hand, is an endearing sight in itself. It's something to mull over, along with every other confusing and frustrating thing about this guy. Some other time, though. Ashton's waiting. And Ashton's gonna continue waiting. Until next time. Well, until then, this has been Downstage Gaming. I have been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all, including Ashton, next time.